When my son was born, June of last year, the level of responsibility that I had known before had completely changed. The first time I held him, I couldn't believe it. You know, you spend 9 months preparing for something, and then when it happens, it's completely different than everything you expect. My grandfather had a huge impact on my life. Growing up, I didn't have a father figure. I was the youngest of 4 brothers, and it was just my mom, and so she kind of had to work 2 jobs most of the time to help, provide for us. And so she wasn't always around, and so I didn't really have a lot of guidance, and so I kind of latched on with my grandfather as my male role model. He kind of was the one that made me realize what it means to be a man, or a father, a person at home. So I got most of my characteristics from him, I think. After 9/11, my grandfather, he and I were sitting together in the living room at his house when we were watching the news, and I just remember him being, angry. He was sad, and he talked about, being too old to support. He was too old to join the military. He couldn't make a difference, and I felt like I had to do something, and I knew that I could once I graduated high school, and so that's when I made the decision to join the military. So I joined the Air Force in September of '07. I was stationed, of course, in Texas for my basic training, and then afterwards I was sent to Tucson, Arizona for my first duty station, and they told me that I would be deploying in a few months right after I got there, so that was a bit of a shock to know it was going to happen so quickly. After about 6 years in the military, that's when I started realizing that I was becoming more of an expert on the heavy equipment, on the CE type, civil engineering type aspects of the job. And so about that time is when you start becoming the trainer or the guide for some of the new guys coming into the military. And so that's kind of what stemmed my appreciation for teaching. Now that I've transitioned out of the military, my new goal is to be a teacher. I want to teach math at the high school level. I want to be that positive role model for kids that are in bad situations, or situations where they need somebody to talk to. And I want to be that positive experience that I had growing up. It's nice to know that there are organizations like Sport Clips out there that are willing to help veterans and provide things like the Help a Hero Scholarship for them. And it makes life a lot easier, and it takes a lot of stress off of that transition that you have. If I had to describe what it means to be a recipient of the Help a Hero Scholarship in just one word, I would have to say it means security. Security for myself, but also my wife and kid, and also it's a huge blessing.
I was 17 years old when I joined the Army. Within a year, I deployed to Iraq for the first time. The first deployment wasn't the greatest for me, personally and emotionally. I learned a lot about myself being away from home. Personal strength is one of the values that I learned while being out there. I found that even during your most deepest struggles, if you keep pushing forward, you're gonna come out just fine. One of the most favorite things of mine of being in the military was the camaraderie. The friendships I built when I was in the Army are some of the ones that I still have to this day. When I got out to go to school, I knew my mission, essentially is what we call it. I knew my focus. However, there was something that I felt like was missing when I was going to school, and it was those friendships that are kind of forged while you're in the military. You don't have that in college. So I found that putting myself out there is what really helped me build that sense of camaraderie that I was missing. At school and outside of school, I joined different organizations that kind of helped me develop myself as a professional, as a student. And then I joined the Student Veterans Association that really helped forge what my passion was. My role in the Student Veterans Association is to advocate for student veterans and anybody affiliated with the military. And what we do as a student population is guide students with different resources, as well as give them information on scholarship resources or community events that kind of build the camaraderie that we need as student veterans on campus. Honestly, it's the one thing that lights that fire whenever I talk to people about it. Whenever I talk to a student or just a veteran in general, besides that common connection that we have, being able to actually help them and guide them in the resources that they need, it lights something in me that other roles never really did. The first time I received this scholarship, I was kind of in awe. I thought it was just like any other scholarships that you just apply and never hear from them again. So when I got the letter in the mail, I was ecstatic, I was counting the pennies in my pocket to see how I was gonna be able to pay for my last semester. And then I had to be sure to show them how grateful I was. And when I wrote my thank you letter, I told them exactly what I was doing. You know, I was in an internship helping veterans in the community. What I took away from that internship was how much we wanted to be heard. And that was one thing that really stood out to me and made it all worthwhile. And because of your help, because of the help of the people supporting us and raising the money for these scholarships, I was able to do that, you know, give back to my community.
When I was growing up, I always wanted to join the military, mostly special operations. Not so that I could go over and do what everyone else wants to do, bring the fight to the bad guy, but so that I could protect the people that are already there fighting, your brother in arms. I was in Special Forces for about 2 years, and what I really enjoyed about it is that I was able to train high-risk capture personnel on what they're going to do if something happens, mostly what they're going to be able to eat or how they're going to evac the area. After my career in Special Operations, I moved into the heavy equipment career field. It just seemed like a natural extension of what we've been doing before, so I was helping people survive before, and then this way I'd be able to help rebuild the communities that we'd been in, trying to help the people that were helping us. While I was in Southeast Asia, I was given the opportunity to work with a canine unit, so I went over there to help, and I helped them rebuild their kennels for their canine unit, as well as a training site. And while I was there, they were also nice enough to teach me some of the skills of training the canine units. I was noticed that the healthcare was a little bit different than the healthcare that I was able to receive. There was always a doctor around if I ever needed anything. It didn't matter what it was. But the canine unit, if anything ever happened, they always had to be flown to another location, or a veterinarian was actually flown into location. So I decided at that time that it was time for me to go back to vet school. So I'd be able to do both my passions. I'd be able to serve in the military helping my fellow members, and I'd be able to work with the animals. I'm currently serving in the North Carolina Air National Guard over in Charlotte, and I work 1 weekend a month, 2 weekends a year with them, and then during the normal week I actually go to North Carolina State University. My wife and I have 3 children. We have 2 girls and a boy. The boy is the youngest. Our schedule is really hectic. Usually when I come home from school, we get to hang out, we get to do their homework just like any other family would do. About 9 o'clock they try to go to bed. That way I can start my homework, because usually I'll be up till about 2 in the morning before I can go to sleep. It still wouldn't be possible without my wife, who actually gets the other side of the shift. So while I'm doing classes or anything else, she'll be at home. But while she's at work, I'll be at home. So it's kind of a sacrifice now, but we decided it in the past so that hopefully we can have a better future. In my opinion, programs like the scholarship to help support veterans is great, because it gives us the opportunity to come back from what we learned in the military and actually apply it. Without the help of Sport Clip's Help a Hero Scholarship, I wouldn't be able to continue on to veterinary school. So if I was not getting scholarships and grants from institutions that are willing to help me, I would never be able to volunteer the amount of time that I volunteer at the shelter. The amount of hours required to get into veterinary school just at North Carolina State is almost 400 hours, and no one's gonna hire me with the amount of experience I have. Luckily, people help teach me, like the veterinarians over at the Wake County Animal Shelter. I started out working in the kennels and walking the dogs, and then I got to actually help clean up in the kennels. So I did receiving, which is when all the animals come into the shelter. And then after working with the intake team, I actually moved on to the veterinary team, who does all the healthcare for the animals. I would like to thank all those that participated in the Sport Clips Help a Hero Scholarship, and I would like to say thank you for helping me to achieve my dream to become a veterinarian.
Thank you, Sport Clip stylists, team members, and your clients.
I would like to thank all those that have participated in the Sport Clips Help a Hero program. The donations you make help make a difference for me and other veteran families.